Boss says it was Victorian. That explains it all. The track's been like this. Frolicking in the water. If you're relying on solar in here, it might be a little bit difficult. Yeah, it's Kangaroo Island over there. Bunch of wankers. One of those Ripley moments, believe it or not. G'day punters, welcome to the third episode of the summer tour. Just came in to Kerry's Cherries, Mount Compass, South Australia. Family operated business. We're right at the end of the cherry season. The sour cherries, the Morelos have just come on. There's still some sweet cherries on their cherry trees just down there. $25 a kilo for their premium cherries. So if you're out this way, come in and say good day to them. They get a bunch of preserves and stuff as well, like smoked or barbecue cherry sauce, some jams, and you know, the usual sort of stuff. I'll show you the cherries we got, eh? So these are the premium ones, a kilo, a good size. The Morelos are a little bit smaller, so they're I'm going to use those to make a cheesecake or a pudding or a crumble or something like that. Little sculpture trail. We're out at the back of I think it's a Mount Compass shopping centre, IGA pub. A few other things happening around here as well. A bit of a walk through the marsh. Bit of polished granite. Wetlands, so a sign said, as I read it, generally don't have any open wet areas. They do have a permanent wet area that is usually covered with vegetation such as heath. No, not you Heath from Bathurst. Heath, the vegetation. Now this sculpture trail, this is number 10 in the trail. There's a QR code that you can scan and it'll give you the, I suppose, map of where you can go and you drive from site to site. Right now, the last bit of information I'll give you about that sculpture tour. It's got about 20 or so sculptures. They're scattered all over the place, as I've mentioned. A lot of them are in the Adelaide Hills, so it's spread over quite a large area. Now we're at the Mount Compass School Swamp. There's a school behind us. It's just off Arthur Street. So it's just a little walk through the swamp. Looks like it's just a one-way track. Walk in, walk back out the same way. What I read is that Fleurieu Peninsula is littered with swamps. It's a pretty important ecological feature of the area. Another person I was talking to on Twitter the other day was saying that this area is the coldest, wettest part of South Australia. In the intro, I talked about summer tour, 12 degrees this morning, jackets on. I was talking to her about difference, well, it wasn't different, talking about a swamp. So the difference between a wetland and a swamp, the sign says, wetlands have open or inundated with water, whereas a swamp is a type of wetland that is dominated by woody plants such as trees, heath again, shrubs, and does not usually have areas of open water. Says this little sign, Fleurieu swamps have saturated soils all year round and don't dry out in summer. Talked about ecologically important. Look at that rubbish, goodness. Obviously provide habitat too for a lot of more rubbish, for a lot of wildlife as well. Bush rats. There's a I think it's some sort of a fish in here. See lots of birds. Unfortunately for us, the enjoyment of the walk is overshadowed by a major highway there going down to Victor Harbour. And of course we're in right in Mount Compass as well. The name of the fish has just come to mind now. It's the southern pygmy perch. Yeah, it's on the sign there. It's also yellow-bellied water skinks, native swamp rats, and as I've already mentioned, a bunch of birds and stuff in here as well. I've already been down to Victor Harbour. I had a little bit of coffee there this morning. I would have taken some pictures and stuff, but it's not its usual bristling, brilliant blue water out there at the moment. They've got a lot of water spewing out of the Murray River, which is coming out near Goolwa, I suppose east of here, and the natural currents bring it down the coast this way. It's sort of a tea tree swamp sort of coloured water, so it's not very attractive at all. Probably good for the ecosystem. There's a trigger word, eh? Ecosystem for the Goolwa and the Murray-Darling though. Here we are on probably the eastern side of Victor Harbour, near Port Elliot. You can see the colour of the ocean in front of us. It's not the usual blue, is it? Current temperature about 26 degrees, so it's warmed up this morning. It was about 12, I think. It was a little bit drizzly as well. But we're about 60 k's west of here, Deep Creek National Park at Trig Campground. Pull into Stringy Bark Camping Ground, a couple of walks from here. There's a wildflower walk, and just outside there's a Stringy Bark loop walk to have a look at today. Interesting to see if there's any wildflowers out. Pretty nice looking campground here. I think Boss said there was some showers here too. But if you're relying on solar in here, it might be a little bit difficult. Sounds like I can hear a generator though. But I don't think you're allowed generators in national parks in South Australia. Anyhow, the wildflower walk's 5 kilometres. We probably won't do it all. We go down a little way and just see if there's any wildflowers out. And see how we go. Plenty of butterflies around, a couple of little yellow flowers around like these. Little purpley jobs. These jobs. Plenty of bees around as well. These little yellow ones, they look like daisies. Oh, that looks pretty, doesn't it? Some of the literature I read about the campground was describing these as yuccas. Look remarkably like a grass tree, but obviously not bottle brush. Missed most of them, but still a couple around. All the walks that we'll be doing today are located in Deep Creek National Park, Fleurieu Peninsula. They're all in close proximity to each other. There'll be one walk that we won't be doing. It's more of a historic site. I think it's a conservation reserve of a mining site from the 1880s, 1890s, thereabouts. A lead, silver mining site, but I'll talk to you about that when we get out there and have a look, eh? Now this wildflower walk is best done in spring, obviously. It's early January at the moment. There's still a couple of flowers around. The reason we chose to come and do it is because we've actually seen quite a few wildflowers along the side of the road, so we thought there might be some late bloomers in here. Still are some flowers around. It's a pretty enough walk. The walk is, as I mentioned, 5 kilometres, and it's described as being reasonably flat. Probably the first kilometre or so is downhill, then uphill. It's not too bad this way. We're heading back at the moment. It's not too bad. It's on a forestry road, so it's pretty easy. But just over this rise it goes down fairly steep, and then up the other side back into the campground it's fairly steep as well. So we're not too far from the Stringy Bark Campground. So Stringy Bark loop walk, 30 minutes, 1.5 k's. There's another walk that goes from here as well. It's a grade 3, 1.5 hours. If you haven't cottoned on yet, the reason this is Stringy Bark is the trees, stringy barks. Some of the oldest stringy barks in the Deep Creek National Park found around here. One of those rippling moments, believe it or not. Over 200 species of fungi growing in this forest. So I just saw some Adelaide rosillas fly past. Supposedly the most fungi grown in any one spot in the whole of South Australia. When we were driving here we went past a pine plantation and there's a sign out there, no wild fungi gathering. Tapper Napper Lookout. Have a look. Boss wants to go for a walk down to Deep Creek. It's 4 kilometres, 3 hours return. Grade 5. There's a little picture there. See how we go. Grade 5. Not a lot of enthusiasm for me about that. Be a popular space. There's not too many cars at the moment. There's a fairly large car park. I think there's another lookout over that way as well. So at the moment we're sort of looking, let me see if I get this right, east. Yeah, the wind. I'll show you some of Kangaroo Island soon too. That's how close we are. Yeah, it's Kangaroo Island over there. Cape Jervis is around that way, and the ferry goes across the Kangaroo Island. Just before we started our descent there was a sign there, 3.4 kilometres return, 3 hours. It said allow 3 hours. The track's been like this, so it's pretty well formed. Grade 5, not at the moment really, but not looking forward to the 1.7k back uphill. Getting close to the water. Just about to bounce out and to see some of this coastline. Oh, you can see people down there. Just catch up with the boss if she'll let me, because I don't think I'll go much further. Yeah, boss isn't going down there either. I think Deep Creek is over that rise. Certainly from memory on that map that I saw, it was all downhill and then you go back over another little rise. Last time we were along similar sort of coastline like this was, well, similar, vaguely. It was in the Great Australian Bight and we're looking down, I don't know, 200 metres. It seemed like that, you know, we saw big schools of Australian salmon swimming along, but the wind was just howling over our heads. That was about, well, that was 2 years ago now. We're travelling around Australia in the ultimate off-road camper. I can't see any fish down there. Probably some South Australian rock lobster, no doubt, down there somewhere. And that tea tree coloured water from around Victor Harbour way hasn't made its way around here yet. Two little anecdotes I'll throw at you while you're looking at this view back east, and I suppose that's sort of south-west. Pasties, I had a best pasty I've had in a long time this morning at Delamere General Store near Cape Jervis. Pepper pasty, never ever seen one that before, that name. That was absolutely terrific. So if you go to Delamere General Store or go through it, drop in there and grab a pepper pasty, yummo. Pages Lookout, just not too far from that walk we just did, the Deep Creek walk. Not that we got all the way down Deep Creek. Rocks over there meant to have a whole bunch of sea lions on. Picture says. And in the right season you can see the southern right whales from here as well. That's what that sign says. Second anecdote that I talked about, that Deep Creek walk's probably not the sort of walk you want to do when you're booked in to get your knee replaced. Well, I've come to Blowhole Beach. It's probably the first track we've come across in the Deep Creek National Park. It's four-wheel drive and it's accessible. It's meant to have 200mm clearance. You can see that's a four-wheel drive car in front of us, and it's got 200mm clearance. Dicks, really. It's probably an all-wheel drive Subaru. Anyhow, going down here, have a look. Just past another four-wheel drive, two people hanging off, one each side as well, on the outside. The state is full of people with smart brains, aren't they? Oh, I'm only joking, not all South Australians are dumb. Victorian. Oh, there you go. Boss says it was Victorian. That explains it all. They're impervious to falling off the side of a truck, of course. Old Beach, pretty popular, four-wheel drives. I've already seen some of the vision. And some idiots as well. I don't know that Subaru all-wheel drive would have got all the way down here, otherwise it would have scraped the guts out of it, I think. A few people surfing down here, playing around on the beach. Get around here and have a look at it a bit, eh? There you go, some people down there, as I mentioned, frolicking in the water. Spot another boat. Looks like it's heading across the island as well, just off out over there. Looks like a huge container ship. Here those dicks again. Two on the right hand side. Go the Rojo number. Bunch of wankers, Victorians. Talisker Conservation Park. This isn't inside the Deepwater National Park. I've already mentioned that it's a conservation area preserving what was an old lead and silver mine. It's not very well signposted, but when you come down Talisker Road, the main entry, you'll see this little shelter here. I think it says about a 2-hour walk. Started mining here in about 1862, and then closed it up in 1872, then reopened it again for a few more years in 1917 and 1920. They stopped originally mining here because they'd gone down so deep, there's a lot of water and it was costing too much money to pump out the water from the mine shafts, and the ore that they were pulling out down the bottom there, which is about 130 metres deep, wasn't very good quality. The first shipments out of here, they dug by hand, broke up because there was a ore bearing reef on the surface, so dug it by hand right from the surface, sorted it out by hand, put it into bags. I can only imagine like wheat bags or something like that, and then actually shipped them across to England. The information that we've been provided suggests that the total amount of value of ore pulled out of here, I don't know what year it is, but it was £46,000, so I imagine it was in the 1800s, 1870s, whatever it was. Probably a lot in today's dollar. It was mined by a publicly listed company, and not a dividend was paid. How about that, eh? I had a couple of smelters here, steam engine, some underground flues, ore crushing house here. Just remarked to the boss how thick the walls were. We're right at the end of the trail, so we'll start going back the right way now. The main shaft of the mine here, I think it was the first one sunk, and sort of alluded to it earlier. I think they got down to 130 odd metres deep. Yeah, there's a bunch of other mine shafts as well. But it's all collapsed in at the moment. That's that greyish rock over there is lead ore or not, got no idea. These piles here are some of the tailings, I understand. See some down there too, and over there. So those who don't know, tailings are or leftover rock or overburden. It's useless stuff, so it's not money making, it's not ore bearing stuff, it's just rock. This hole on the ground is called Tappy's Shaft. Can't really see. Don't drop the car keys in there. There's another cutout through here too. In its heyday, employing up to 35 people here, so not a big mine operation by any standards. Through all these shafts, they build horizontal drains. It looks like that's one just in there. There's obviously a shaft down there as well. The mine was manned by people from Cornwall, Cornish people. How about that, eh? I either lived on site here or at a place called Silverton, just nearby. I think this is the main drain, horizontal drain. They built it into the hill, obviously, between the shafts. Connected most of the shafts, from what I understand. And it's at a level which is 40 metres below the main shaft. They didn't build drainage any lower than that. As I mentioned earlier, they pumped it out. See the tailings here. They made their own fire bricks out here as well to repair the kilns they had, and also to line the shafts. And here's the brick kiln, made from clay in the area. Bit of graffiti. See an old boiler or reservoir over here. Calcining furnace. So they burnt the ore here. After being fired for about 12 hours. And then after cooling it was ready for smelting. $35 blokes out here doing this work. Pretty amazing. Some flues before. Here's one here. Just see it in there. So some poor blokes have gone in there and chiseled through the earth. the flues. I understand that they the flues were like an exhaust for the furnaces and the like. You can see a picture back in the day there. This is the crusher house, which is there. Vegetation looks quite a bit different now, doesn't it? Just at the back of the crusher. Yeah, I think the walls are pretty amazing, eh? Today is all about Wollonga and McLaren Vale. Just heading down in towards the McLaren Vale area, just south of the distance, all the vineyards and that islet and the trees. About wine and the Shiraz Trail at McLaren Vale. It's also Saturday. It's the Wollonga Farmers Market, so we're in here just to check it out, get some more cherries, because we ate all of Kerry's cherries and she's meant to be, or her store's meant to be in here today too. Boss has got a blueberry tart, a custard tart. Me, I'm a bit manly, I've got a pork belly pie from Bull Creek Bakery just over there. I get smacked by copyright here because of the music in the background, but we're at Vale Tap House and Restaurant, mostly a restaurant. Saturday, almost lunchtime, they're just about booked out, so the only thing they do for walk-ins are drinks. So we're at McLaren Vale, in the McLaren Vale area, so you can see all the vines out here, right? And I'm having a pale ale. Looks like a pretty new establishment too. And the boss wants me to pose in a picture in the beanbag. These are the only seats we could get as a walk-in. Pale ale. Might be saying, what's all the cackle and noise? We've just dropped in here for a bite to eat at Swell Brewery. Another nice spot. Drop in, say good day. Pretty quick of the food. 2 beers I had were pretty nice. And a pale ale and a XPA. It's called the Gold Coast, the Sunshine Coast. Off to a winery now. I think we go to Rabbit Down the Hole, something like that in here. Down the rabbit hole, as I mentioned. Is it popular? I reckon you could guess it is. Cars, tour buses, dust. Now, going to go in here and get a bit of fruit juice down the rabbit hole. So tastings are down that way. Double decker bus apparently is pretty popular and has a bit of a name itself for Instagram photos. There's a restaurant in there. All the food comes out of up there. Drinks served from there, and you come in up there and you need to wait. Apparently you're not allowed to move the furniture. You have to wait till the spot becomes vacant. Plenty of spots out in the sun, as you can see. Fortunate a few people left when we came in here, so all good. The Maiponga Dam, it's just south of Adelaide. Fleurieu Peninsula. Looks pretty well stocked at the moment. There's a bit of a ripple out there, so maybe they're dropping some water out at the bottom, I don't know. No, they're not dropping any water at all. Nothing coming out of the slipways to the right, you can't see it. You just have a look out the window here. Just dropped down to Rapid Bay, not quite the way down to Jervis, Point Jervis. Never knew the jetty was here, but it's a pretty popular spot. A few cars along here, a few people pulling out with rods and a lot of squid jigs. Let's check out the people. It's down to our right here. There's a caravan park down here too. It looks like it's pretty well packed up, I reckon. Nice spot. A few of the people in water with wetsuits. Says a lot about the temperature of the water, but beautiful day for it. So flat. Sunday morning, our last morning here at Deep Creek National Park. Going to do our final walk, waterfall walk. I think it's 2 hours return, 4 kilometres, grade 4. The walk starts, as the car just went past, at the campground. First turn off to the campground, that campsites that we're just there. Pretty nice view. Sorry about the sun though. Ocean. Like yesterday, flat as. Scenery is just as magnificent as it has been. Walk's been pretty easy so far. A lot of these rocky things on the footpath. Just debating whether or not the sound we can hear in the background is wind or water. But it's not that windy, so must be a bit of water moving down there. There are quite a few formed steps going down into this little gorge. Getting close to the little creek now, but not the waterfall. I think from memory that map showed that you've got to cross and go up a bit further. But for me, this will probably be me as far as walking this track. I don't know if the boss will go further. If she goes further, I'll give her the GoPro and she can take you with her. I should swallow my words. Could hear the waterfall, so I crossed the creek. And it's just over here. Well, it's pretty specky considering the time of year too. Do you know, there's been a bit of miserable weather around. Early January. If you're inclined, you could probably go for a swim in there. Well, time to head back up. Been watching the sun creep down the face here. Nice walk. Probably my favourite of the walks that we've done in this park. Come out of that gorge now. Just thought I'd give you another look at that water view. Sun's a little bit higher. The vegetation is what I'd probably call friendly. It comes in and gives you a hug. Nothing here that's too unfriendly though, as long as you're sensible, I suppose. These are a bit sharp on the end. Everything else is pretty fine. The boss said this reminded her of mazes, this part of the track. All these sorts of bushes in nice and close, small track. Just here at Goodyear Hampstead Park at or Hampstead Gardens in Adelaide. Blokes here have been pretty terrific chasing down a new tyre for me. When I had this repaired, they stuck a really large patch on it. I'll show you when I get it off. There it is there. It's a little bit bigger than it's probably satisfactory. Even the guys down at Bloody Victor Harbour said it's probably bigger than they usually stick on. There's a hole in that one. So the bloke who's helped us out is a bloke called N.P. He's the store manager here, telling us about their woes with their internal ordering system in Goodyear when they're particularly ordering stock out of Victoria. Anyhow, so he's got a tyre sorted out for me, so we'll replace it and I'll stick that on the right rear, because the other good one is on the left rear, and the right rear one will become the spare. Why am I worrying about it so much? After we leave Adelaide, we head north up to Ayers Rock and then across the Great Central Desert, so we'll need 5 more tyres, not 4.5. Well, punters, that just about wraps up our little video on Fleurieu Peninsula, Deep Creek National Park, and some of the other attractions around the area, Willunga, Mount Compass, McLaren Vale. Hope you've enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed being here. Certainly could spend a lot more time, eh? Cheers, and we'll see you in the next episode.